Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the Cricket Happening Show here. This on a Monday. And as far as today's Cricket Happening Show, there are three matches that I'll talk about. The first match that I'm going to talk about is a blistering century, not a century. In fact, as you would remember, in one-day international cricket, the record is held by A.B. de Villiers, who scored a century of just 31 deliveries against the West Indies. And Martin Guptill, even though he didn't score a century, he was mighty close to it. It's only because of the target that Sri Lanka provided, a dismal target, which New Zealand won this match in a canter by a 10-wicket win. But what was very enterprising was this wonderful knock, or this enterprising knock from Martin Guptill, who went on to make the fastest 50 by a New Zealander in one-day international cricket, as he broke the record which was held by the current captain of the New Zealand cricket team, Brendan McCullum, who scorched a half century of 18 deliveries against England in the World Cup, as you would remember. This was something similar, but just keeping in view the target which was there for New Zealand was nothing, I would say, because Sri Lankans once again faltered by being all out for 117, and Guptill scorched the turf and also sent the ball over the into the stands with customary regularity, as he reeled off the fastest 50 by a New Zealander in one-day internationals of just 17 deliveries, just breaking the record of Brendan McCullum. And not only that, he also went on, as I said, he was pretty close to breaking the record of A.B. de Villiers of a century of 31 balls. He just missed it by a whisker, I would say, because Martin Guptill finishing on an unbeaten 93 of just 30 deliveries with 9 fours and 8 sixes, and one was a humongous six when he thrashed Nuwan Kulashekara into the stands for a six, and he gave some real pasting to the bowlers. Van der Say, the right arm leg spinner from Sri Lanka, who was actually making his debut. He disappeared for 26 runs in his first over in one-day international cricket, and then his attention was on to Dushmantha Chamira. Now, hitting Dushmantha Chamira was something a real treat to watch, because Dushmantha Chamira, as you know, he packs a lot of pace. But Martin Guptill was in the mood today. He was just literally murdering the Sri Lankan bowling attack as he tore them to shreds, with Dushmantha Chamira disappearing for 26 in an over, where with Van der Say, he was lofting those sixes. With Chamira, he was cracking them for boundaries. He also hit a six too, and he damaged the bowling figures. In fact, this particular one-day international, which is the centerpiece today in this Cricket Happening Show, which is the second one-day international which was played between New Zealand and Sri Lanka at the same Hagley Oval in Christchurch, where New Zealand already had a 1-0 lead in the series. It was just talking. I'll come to the Sri Lankan innings later. Martin Guptill was in a murderous mood. He was thrashing the ball all over the park, and look at the sixes that he hit. In fact, he hit unbeaten 93 of just 30 deliveries with 9 fours. In fact, he was throwing the bat at the ball in the way only that you could. I mean, probably one would have said that if at all Brendan McCullum would have made such a score, probably one would have not been surprised. But coming in from Martin Guptill's back, I mean, what was good about it is he was just standing there and stroking the ball. I mean, there was only one chance given right at the beginning, and there was Milinder Srivardhana trying to take a difficult catch, I reckon. But Martin Guptill was absolute dynamite yesterday. He thrashed the Sri Lankan bowling, and Martin Guptill collected an unbeaten 93 of just 30 deliveries with 9 fours and 8 sixes, and as I said, just missing the mark of A.B. de Villiers by just one ball. I mean, I know he can't get 7 runs, but probably if the target would have been high, I'm sure Martin Guptill would have broken A.B. de Villiers' record. So now Martin Guptill, so the second fastest one-day international century in one-day international history now belongs to Martin Guptill of New Zealand. What a knock that was. 93 runs of just 30 deliveries, 9 fours and 8 sixes. 8 sixes were absolute terrific stuff, I would say. And Martin Guptill, as you know, he likes to hit the ball straight down. But yesterday we saw a different dimension to it. He was cracking it everywhere. It was going over point, it was going over third man, he was hitting straight sixes, he was walloping some sixes over the leg side. Tom Latham was a very, very sober partner in that partnership. The partnership of 118 runs. In fact, the Sri Lankans were all out for 117 batting first at the Hagley Oval in the second one international. Tom Latham was very sober. He was a mere spectator as a non-striker there, making an unbeaten 17 of 20 deliveries with 2 fours. Match over. New Zealand winning the match with a 10 wicket and going 2-0 in this 5-match series. 118 for no loss. Sri Lankans were totally decimated yesterday by Martin Guptill. The bowling, Chamira disappeared for 41 runs of his 2 overs. Kulashekara going for 19 of his 2. Senanaike 2.2 overs, bowling 14 deliveries and 22 runs leaked. Jeffrey Van der Say, the right-arm leg spinner, would like to definitely forget his first one-day international, making his debut there, was thrashed for 34 runs in 2 overs. Match over, New Zealand winning the match in a canter and expected so. But look at the way that they did it. In 8.2 overs, the run rate was a mighty 14.16 runs per over, and this is something scintillating stuff, one could say, as New Zealand, Guptill was the one who manhandled the Sri Lankan bowling and really left nothing for Sri Lanka to really think about. As he went on, probably I would say like a doctor cutting through the remnants of a body. He was doing that yesterday. He was doing it with clinical precision, and also New Zealand winning the second one-day international. And look at the overs. In 8.2 overs, 118 runs were scored by New Zealand at the rate of 14.16 runs per over. And also look at how many overs were bowled. In fact, in the whole one-day international match, the overs that were bowled were less than 35, I would say probably close to 35 overs. In 100-over game, and only 27. I mean, if you do the max there, just 36 overs were bowled in the entire second one-day international. So, but what an entertainment here for the spectators who had assembled at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch, with the ball flying in all directions, especially from Martin Guptill's bat. Now, as I have already spoken about the very enterprising knock from Martin Guptill, let me get on to the Sri Lankan innings here. The Sri Lankans actually won the toss and they elected to bat first here at the Hagley Oval in Christchurch, and they were absolutely, I would say, they were left with nothing, as once again the only difference being for Sri Lanka, whatever strokes they were playing was going into the hands. But as far as New Zealand were concerned, they had a very paltry total to chase of 117. So they did their bit and they totally destroyed the Sri Lankan bowling, especially Martin Guptill destroying the Sri Lankan bowling. As far as Sri Lankan batting was concerned, it was they were all out for 117. There were no, I mean, one thing that I would like to say, in the previous one-day international, the Milinda Srivardhana and Kulashekara coming and rescuing them, but today there was no one to rescue them. In fact, the highest score went to Kulashekara, who contributed 19 of 24 deliveries with 3 fours. Looking at the Sri Lankan card here, the first to go, Dilshan, trying to actually come down the wicket to Matt Henry, was really surprised by the delivery from Martin Henry, who actually smart enough to pitch the ball up, and Dilshan was caught by Taylor. After that, Tirumani was caught by Henry at the bowling of McClenaghan for 1. And it was a similar story as to what happened in the first one-day internationals. And I would say Sri Lanka never have learned their lessons from the first one-day international. Gunatilaka, who was looking impressive with his 17 runs of 25 balls with 3 fours, was a goner. Was a victim of the bowling of Henry. Chandimal played across the bowling from Doug Bracewell for being out for 9. Angelo Matthews was doing well, but he was really a sort of a net was actually put around him, and the new Angelo Matthews was fallible, and the short stuff actually getting the wicket of Angelo Matthews down the leg side caught Ronke for 17 of 22 balls with 2 fours. Srivardhana could contribute only 12 or 14 deliveries with 2 fours. Kapugatra was run out for 12. Kulashekar, as I said, the highest scorer with 19 runs. And then Senanayake was bowled by Henry for naught. Chamira was out for 9. Vanderson was not out for 7. 117 all out Sri Lanka, putting up a very, very dismal performance in the second one-day international. In the 28th over, they were all out. The bowling, once again Matt Henry getting his second 4-wicket haul in one-day internationals. 9.4 overs, 2 maidens, 33 runs and 4 wickets. Doug Bracewell, 6 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 31. Mitchell McClenaghan, 8 overs, no maiden, 3 for 32. Santon bowling 1 over for 5 runs. Ish Sodhi, 3 overs, no maiden, 1 for 12. So that is as far as this particular match is concerned. Martin Guptill, we all know that who was the man of the match was Martin Guptill, who took away the man of the match award. Now I will turn the focus on here from this very, very enterprising one-day international match to a match which was played between Australia and one probably expected the West Indies, who were really, really reeling at that stage at 91 for 6, to really struggle. But let me tell you, a show of defiance from the West Indians, especially that partnership. In fact, Australia would have been definitely surprised, but I'm very happy for the West Indies that West Indies really put up a great show of defiance. Especially it was Darren Bravo really showing some bravado there and really showing a lot of determination to stay at the wicket, wait for the loose balls to dispatch it to the fence. And Brathwaite was another one who was very, very impressive. He was making his test debut, but what he brings to this West Indian side is something which one should be really admiring, and that is aggression. And that's what was wanted. Brathwaite went on firing on all cylinders, I would say. Even though he played a lot of defensive strokes and gave good support to Darren Bravo from 91 for 6. It was a very, very good partnership. It yielded almost 80 odd runs with Brathwaite, Carlos Brathwaite showing a lot of aggression, and whenever he hit the ball, it was very cleanly hit. He was really striking the ball very well. He was really giving it a good lift, I would say, and he was looking pretty good. So Carlos Brathwaite really showing a lot of aggression and not showing any signs of nerves in his first Test match. On Test debut, showing some good strokes, and also combining well with Darren Bravo as far as batting was concerned. So Darren Bravo making 81, and this partnership was really frustrating the Australian bowlers no end. It was a very, very good show of defiance. But then, just at the brink of lunch, Carlos Brathwaite, after getting his maiden 50, on his Test debut, getting a 50, was snapped up by Lyon himself of his own bowling. He's gone for 59 with 2 fours and 1 6. So that made the score, and that was something really, really appreciated there, as the score moved to 173 for 7. And then definitely West Indies, what was good about it, Darren Bravo, whenever he used to play the strokes, was really good to see when he was actually presenting the full face of the bat. And we have seen one thing from Darren Bravo in this particular innings, as far as West Indies is concerned, is that he's one who has really stayed at the wicket and has shown a lot of maturity, I reckon. And I think Darren Bravo is one very, very big asset to West Indies cricket. So Darren Bravo really, really buckling on and getting good support. In fact, Kemar Roche came in. Kemar Roche also threw his bat around, hitting 3 boundaries. But what was more important was that those tailenders were really giving the support, the much needed support that Bravo was needing, as Roche contributed 22 with 3 boundaries. James Taylor making 15 Jerome Taylor contributing 15 with 2 fours, but the man Darren Bravo was staying there. Jamal Warrican was also supporting him well, who had contributed an unbeaten 11 with 1 4. But the problem was that West Indies were doing well, but Darren Bravo was actually, his wicket was nipped up with a new ball, I suppose, when James Pattinson had him nicking to Smith, and Darren Bravo was walking pretty dejectedly, I would say, but not before making a very nice 81 with 8 4, showing a great defiance there. And West Indies definitely, as I said, surprising the Australians by really, really staying at the wicket and showing that they still have a lot of determination left in them. 271, still conceding a lead of 280 runs. The bowling, 4 wickets shared by James Pattinson and Nathan Lyon, and 2 wickets to Peter Siddle. As far as the Australian second dig was concerned, it was not a good start. In fact, Jason Holder actually got Joe Burns to actually play to Brathwaite. Brathwaite taking the catch. He was gone. That was the first wicket. After that, Brathwaite himself probably getting on to some banter with David Warner. As I said, he's an aggressive bloke now. That's what one has seen after he has come to the wicket. Brathwaite has shown that he brings a lot of aggression. And Collis Brathwaite, what he did is he had a sort of a talk with David Warner. He riled him a bit, and finally the results were there as David Warner was snapped up by Holder. Very good catch taken, and Brathwaite doing a great jig when he saw that David Warner was walking back to the pavilion for 17 with 1-4, and then finally Usman Khwaja once again showing consistency, contributing a 50 there, making 56 with 5 boundaries. And when finally stumps were drawn, Australia still on the driver's seat there with Stephen Smith, the captain, not out on 70 of as many balls with 5 boundaries. And Mitchell Marsh, Adam Bode's not coming, Mitchell Marsh coming in as a night watchman, contributing an unbeaten 18 as Australia closed the day at 79 for 3, and they were 459 runs ahead with 7 wickets remaining. So Australia absolutely in the driver's seat there. As far as the bowling was concerned from the West Indian bowling, Taylor went for 24, was a bit costly. Jason Holder 11 was 1 made and 2 for 49, bowled well. Brathwaite getting his, I would say he was not getting his, I think he has already got the wicket, I suppose. In fact, Brathwaite getting his maiden wicket there of David Warner, and what a way to get it, to rile David Warner and then put a beautiful jig there. 6 overs, 1 made and 1 for 30 for Brathwaite. Purely deserved it. Kemar Roach 4 overs, none for 22, and Warrican 8 overs, no made and none for 47, getting a bit of a tap from the Australian batsman. As far as so that is the match situation. Definitely West Indies looking, but I thought Australia looking pretty strong. But I think West Indies have really, in this particular Test match, they have really shown that they have a lot of determination, and probably one feels that determination really goes on, and they really present. Make it a more tougher for Australia to achieve the victory that they would try to. So the 4 days play is going to be an interesting affair, which is coming up at the MCG. The next match that I'm going to talk about is this match between England and South Africa. Today was day 3 at the Kingsmead in Durban in this first Test match, and South Africa they were bowled out for 214, but the feature being. There was not much of a resistance after yesterday, but this guy Dean Elgar doing a really great act there, joining the likes of the other South African batsmen, especially Gary Kirsten way back in 1997 against Pakistan. Dean Elgar carrying his bat through the innings. What a knock it was. I mean, most of his strokes, what you have seen, predominantly Dean Elgar is pretty strong on the onside. He likes to play his strokes. He was not afraid to come down the wicket and have a hike at the spinners. His feet movement was good, and he was really looking very good, and especially considering that now this is a very quality knock that he has played, because you're playing a quality side like England, and Dean Elgar, I think this will go a long way as far as Dean Elgar's future is concerned, as Dean Elgar carried his bat through the innings to contribute an unbeaten 118 with 8 fours and 1 6. Temba Bavuma actually got an early breakthrough on the 3rd day as he picked up Bavuma by getting him clean bowl for 10. After that, Moeen Ali was introduced by the Alistair Cook, the England captain, probably realizing that Duminy, when the left-handers came, he realized that Moeen Ali could be his best bet, and Moeen Ali did not disappoint as he took 3 wickets. In fact, he took 2 wickets pretty quickly. Duminy was out for 2. Kyle Abbott was out for naught, and then Dale Steyn was the one who offered a bit of a resistance to the English bowlers, especially giving company to Dean Elgar before Dale Steyn himself was a victim of the bowling of Ali for 17. And then Dan Peat was out to Finn, and finally Morkel was a victim of Finn, and that left Dean Elgar stranded on 118 not out with 8 fours and 1 6, 214 all out South Africa, and England taking an 89 runs lead. As far as the bowling was concerned, the spoils were shared by Stuart Broad with 4 wickets for 25, 4 wickets for 69 for Moeen Ali, 2 wickets to Stephen Finn. As far as England were concerned, England started their reply in the 89 runs on. Definitely a lot of confidence for England. It all started, but once again, Alistair Cook failed, and this was very interesting. In fact, Alistair Cook was not claimed by the pace bowlers. His wicket today was claimed by Dan Peters. Dan Pete really gets a real turn out of that pitch, and he actually turned the ball, and Cook actually prodding forward was trapped LBW for 7. So that was the first wicket to go. Made 13 for 1, and then 13 for 1, and then when the score reached 48 with Alex Hales playing well, but suddenly one did not know under the circumstances why did Alex Hales actually leave the crease and tried to have an ugly hike. In fact, he wanted to probably clear long on, but this time he couldn't. Not a good stroke at all, even though Alex Hales came down the wicket under the circumstances. Not a good stroke. It was caught by Abbott at long on, bowled by Pete for 26. He tried to clear with 1-4 and 1-6, so that was not a good thing which happened. After that, Nick Compton and Joe Root started combining together very well with Joe Root and Compton really taking their time at the crease as they started forming a very, very useful partnership, and this partnership had yielded 71 runs, which was going on well with both these players, as you know, are identically the same. They have good technique. They play in a very defensive mode, and while that was going on with Nick Compton and Joe Root, things were things were getting a bit better for England, but then finally it was Compton's wicket. Now, Compton also hits one reverse sweep for 4, but then Markel came in, and also how lucky Nick Compton was. In fact, Joe Root was also lucky. Markel, the luckless bowler, he was grasped twice. Actually, Dean Elgar dropping a sitter in the slips, and then De Villiers, the wicketkeeper and captain, dropping another chance there, which was probably not as easy as what Dean Elgar took. But then Nick Compton was a victim, caught by De Villiers finally, of the bowling of Markel for 49 with 5 boundaries, which made the score 119 for 3. And then finally it was James Taylor offering good company to Joe Root, which enabled Joe Root to actually become, in fact, the record for the most number of 50s in a calendar year is held by the former Indian great batsman Virendra Sehwag, who hit 12 50s, and today Joe Root actually going on to break that record, now having the records of the most 50s, the maximum number of 50s in a calendar year, as he got to his 1350 in the calendar year, which left Joe Root on a very, very nicely constructed innings of 60 with 4 fours and 1 6. Taylor was not out on 24, and England finished the day on day 3 at 172 for 3. So they were essentially doing pretty well there going into the 4th day. There were 261 runs on with 7 wickets still remaining. As far as the bowling was concerned, and another problem, let me also tell you that South Africa today were crippled because of Dale Steyn not able to bowl, and that was pretty sad, and that also probably contributed to England getting on to 172 for 3, because Dale Steyn had to leave the field 3.5 overs, no made and none for 10, and I wish for the test sake that Dale Steyn gets fit and starts coming in full colour on the 4th day, hopefully. Morne Markel, very good bowling figures, 13.3 overs, 4 minutes, 19 runs and 1 wicket. Kyle Abbott, 13.4, 236, he also left the field. Pete, 18 overs, 3 minutes, 265, taking 2 wickets there, Dan Pete. Elgar, none for 19 of 7, Steyn Van Zyl, 7 overs, 2 minutes, none for 12, and Duminy, 1 over, none for 5. So Alex Hales, so that is as far as this match is concerned, but definitely the result is coming. There are 2 more days to go. We are getting into the 4th day, and there's a lot to really look forward to. Well, dear fans and subscribers, it was a very quick broadcast here from your host Ram. Hope you all liked it, and I'll be seeing you all, dear friends and subscribers, on my next Cricket Happening show that will happen tomorrow. Till that happens, this is your host Ram signing off today. Thank you.